Right, so task three, and this task is about corporate social responsibility. So, profit being an important motive for companies, but not the only motive. Ethics, which is your sort of five ethics set out within your code of ethics, and sustainability, things like carbon footprint. So let's get on with this one. So identify whether the following statements about corporate social responsibility are true or false. It is only concerned with activities that benefit society. No, I mean it's important that the activities will benefit society, but we might actually have other things like we might make money from some of the CSR activities. So let's say we reduce our carbon footprint, which would be good. But it might actually be cheaper in terms of we're not using as much energy. So we might replace our LED lights, which will reduce our carbon footprint and be corporate social responsibility. We might replace our sort of lights with LED lights because we're reducing our energy costs. So it's sort of save. Let's say we go from a T5 light to an LED light. Probably we'll have a payback period of about 18 months to 2 years, probably a lot less now actually, given the increases in electricity prices. Probably we've now dropped into like 12 months. That's going to save us a fortune. So when you go out around sort of public sector buildings like schools or hospitals or whatever, and you see the amount of light that gets burnt off from there, we could just replace all of that and we'll save a fortune. So yeah, it will have some activities that benefit society, and they are important. Some things are going to be very much about saving money, like reduction in energy costs. Some things they might have a nice greening washing effect in terms of, let's say, the electric car scheme, but really is a good way to get a cheap Tesla if you're in the private sector and you're the finance director. Check it out. It involves all individuals in the company taking responsibility for action. So normally when you see these words like only, concerned, and all, usually should be red flags appearing here at this point. I think this is probably a false one, but actually in this instance here, corporate social responsibility is about all individuals in the company taking responsibility for their actions. Everybody has to sort of be part of it. You can't have the CEO sort of saying let's reduce our energy costs, and then the estates director just doesn't do anything with the reduction of energy costs, because then it's just just talking about it. So that one's actually true. So false there for the first one, true for the second one. Should only be undertaken to improve customer perception. It's important, and customer perception is important. We can't go chopping down Amazon rainforests anymore, or it's a bit unpopular if we sort of invest in tobacco, let's say, or guns. But it's not the only thing really now, because as I just highlighted, we could save some money in terms of costs and that kind of thing. We might make more money if we are corporate and socially responsible. So good for brand, but not the only thing really anymore. Sometimes we can actually make savings. Identify which stakeholders. We've got some stakeholders here. The following statements relate to and whether they're internal or external stakeholders. So these stakeholders are most interested in profit, and they're going to be the owners. The owners own, the shareholders own the business. So the shareholders own the business, and they want to make money out of owning the business. They might be interested as well in terms of some ethical sort of sides, in terms of if this company can do good things and whatever. And they might be concerned if the company's doing bad things, but mainly the owners of the company are there, and they are interested in profit. If they were just interested because they wanted, thought the company was great, whatever, they might be a customer, let's say, that kind of thing. But the owners would be there. Now, in terms of here, internal or external stakeholders. Internal stakeholders includes the shareholders in this instance really here. So they'll be internal. So the internal stakeholders are going to be things like managers, staff members, and shareholders. External is going to be customers and the government and wider, let's say, the community. So the internal ones here, although it goes against the business entity concept, then they're going to be the shareholders are going to be internal in this instance. These stakeholders can offer high incentives to persuade a business to locate in the area. So the people who offer incentives, can offer incentive to the business to relocate to areas of high unemployment. So that's going to be the government. The government's going to provide those kind of things through business parks where there's no business rates. And then also something called sort of capital allowances. So if you invest, let's say, in a big machine, then you can write off 100% of it against your profit straight away, rather than over time. There's talk of the idea that in areas of high unemployment, there might be lower income tax rates. That'll never work. That won't happen. mainly because it'll break down the public sector. But so, yeah, government here, and the government's an external stakeholder to the company. Okay, so we've got our code of ethics here. So we've got our 5. So we're going to open up with the code of ethics here, and let's see, we've got. Just going to set that off the scale. Let's just slide back. Where are we? Yeah. So AAT's Code of Professional Ethics for Accounting Technicians lists 5 fundamental principles in here. So there are five fundamental principles of ethics: integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and professional behaviour. So let's see what we've got here. Well, confidentiality sat within that one, so that was in there. That's one of them. Honesty, no. That's how you have integrity. You have to be honest to be having integrity, but that's not as part of the integrity one. So the integrity one's the other one. Now, although we've seen professional behaviour is in there. That's one, and competence and due care is the other. So they smush together 2 of the ethics into here to try and get them on. So this one here is confidentiality and integrity. Just simply memorise them. In the 5 ones: integrity, confidentiality, professional competence and due care, objectivity, and professional behaviour. Okay, so those are our 5. Okie dokie. Let's get this back down to right. So Firoz. Okay, Firoz is an AAT member working in the finance function of a local business. On Friday afternoon, he's asked to help with processing the final payment run of the week. Okay, he notices a large payment with no recipient named. Okay. When he checks the invoice, he notices it's a handwritten and unable to read the signature on it. Okay, so we shouldn't be processing this. The payment's been authorised by the finance director, who's a qualified accountant. Okay, so what? The Firoz queries this with his manager, and she says that these payments are often made to local suppliers. Well known, he should just process the payment run as it's fine and everyone once it gets home. Oh gosh, right, okay, so we've got some advocacy risk going on from the manager here, really, and we've got some, we've got some questionable objectivity going on here, because are we being objective because it's Friday, we all want to go home? Are we behaving with integrity in here? Questionable. All right, let's get into our questions. All right, excellent. As a qualified accountant, the finance director will always act with integrity. No, the finance director could be a crook. Although it's very rare for professional accountants to act without integrity. It is very rare, and it makes good headlines really in terms of if accountants are crooks. No, there's a few of them that happen. So very, very rare in terms of the reality of life. Really, we have that sort of. On the one hand, you have it drilled into you, and from when you're training, and on the other hand, you've got a lot to lose. So not really. Finance directors do tend to act with integrity, but not will always. So again, we come up with this idea of these very sort of 100% statements. Always be wary of those ones. That's a false. No, the finance director could be a crook. As it's Friday, Firoz should complete the run as quickly as possible, as it's been signed, so it must be correct. No, so what? It's Friday. There's a threat to Firoz's objectivity, because everybody's just saying let's get ourselves home in here. But he's not happy about it. Why should Firoz sign his name to it? If the manager wants to come down and do the payment run themselves, the manager can knock themselves out and come down and do the payment run themselves. But I don't think Firoz should do it. Mainly because if it goes wrong, remember the segregation of duties here. Firoz is doing one thing, the manager's doing the other, the finance director's doing the other. If Firoz just follows exactly what the manager sort of says, there's no segregation of duties in here. Be courteous, but should still tell them to go stick it. Firoz should complete the run, but leave out the invoice to investigate it further on Monday. Yes, that would be the right thing to do. Really, complete the run, because you can't hold up everything, but yeah, leave that one out in there until somebody agrees it, and then it would be a question really. We're now sort of into a bit of whistleblowing land, really, if we're being truthful. And where are we? There's another question sort of sitting in here. Okay, so that's that one. Oh, right. And now there is an extra question which I've missed off in here. It says identify 2 actions that Firoz could take from the following list, which would be check that all payments have been made. Well, so what? That doesn't make any difference. Contact the head of finance to discuss the issue. So that would be a good plan. There's a finance director, there'll probably be a head of finance, and there'll be Firoz's manager. So contact the head of finance and discuss the issue. And explain the situation. Go home. His manager's left, so it's too late to change anything. Well, that's a possibility. Let's see what else happens. Send an email marked urgent to his manager to inform him of what actions he's taken. Well, yes, I mean, clearly send it to his manager to say this is what I've done and here. And so I would go contact the head of finance and to discuss the issue and send an email marked urgent to the manager to inform her of what action he's taken. Now, what happens in real life? Well, in real life, I suppose there's a lot of pressure on Firoz here, who's quite a sort of low-level staff member, producing the information. But so what? In terms of the situation, well, what's the worst they're going to do? Well, they're going to say, Firoz, you won't help us as a cook, and help us to sort of do this payment incorrectly. So we're going to fire you. For a start. That's a good one for an employment tribunal, and secondly, your Firoz will get a job elsewhere perfectly well. So never really worth. You can't ever have your integrity taken away from you. You have to give it away, and you can only lose it once. So no, Firoz is quite right here. Be conscientious at all times. Obviously, be very courteous. And don't tell somebody to stick it, but in reality, that's how we would go about it. So that's the answer to that question.